This week we are in a 2024 Lexus NX 350h Luxury. I have been spending all week with this car, so I'll be giving you my impressions on what it's been like to live with. We'll look at the exterior, interior, and then we'll go ahead and take it for a spin. Base price on the NX 350 is just over $49,000, and as tested, this is just over $57,000. So let's go ahead and get started. This NX is finished in Grecian water. It's a very nice blue color. You have the optional 20-inch wheels. This is all-wheel drive. This is based on the Toyota RAV4. It's essentially a luxury version of the Toyota RAV4. In my opinion, I think the beauty is in the hands of the beholder. On this one, just kind of looks like your average run-of-the-mill crossover. You have the signature giant Lexus grille up front here. Tri-beam LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, and headlight washers, which is pretty cool. You don't see that too much anymore. LED fog lights as well. And this even has a light that juts out to the side when you're turning, so you can see where you're turning, which is pretty cool. It's a closer shot of the 20-inch wheels. Pretty sharp. Let's go ahead and take a look at this trunk real quick. You have a power liftgate. It's also hands-free. Just kick underneath. I find the kicking to not work really well. Back here is pretty decent. It's a little bit smaller than the Toyota RAV4, but not too bad at all. Under here, no spare tire, but you do get a lot of cargo space to store things. First aid kit over here, and this does also have a power folding second row, which is, I believe, a $1,000 option. I do find this cargo shade to be a little bit rattly, so if I owned one of these, I'd probably take that out. You'll probably hear it rattle along in the video. Go ahead and take a look at the back seat. These door handles are interesting. They're not like physical door handles. There's little buttons behind them that essentially open electronically. They don't actually move, which is a little weird. You have a button here to put the second row back to where it's supposed to be. Wish the doors opened a little wider. I think if you had a child seat or something, it'd be a little hard to get back in here. You are a little bit limited on headroom. My head is ever so slightly grazing the roof, and I do have about 2 or 3 inches of legroom. I'm 6 foot. Back here, you do get a couple map pockets, rear heated seats, which is an option with the power folding rear seats. Very nice. Do get a 12-volt outlet and a couple USB ports back here. Pull down center armrest with a couple cup holders. This does have a sunroof. I do like the manual shade, less stuff to break. You do have these electronic latches on the inside. Not a huge fan of these. You know, I had a bunch of friends back here, and I didn't say a word on how to get out of the car, and they could not figure out how to get out of the car, which is kind of funny. All you do is just press this button and push out. Or in an emergency, you just yank the lever twice and push out. I don't know why they feel the need to reinvent the wheel with door handles. I think they should just go back to traditional door handles and keep the cost down, but I guess that's what you get over the top of the traditional RAV4, I guess. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's under the hood. So under the hood of the NX 350 is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated hybridized 4-cylinder. It's the same thing we find in the Toyota RAV4 hybrid, just with a bit more power. You do have 240 combined horsepower with this, so it's about like 25 or 30 horsepower more than you would get on a RAV4 hybrid. It gets about 39 miles a gallon combined, so it's a pretty efficient powertrain. Definitely, if I would get an NX, I would probably recommend the hybrid version over like the NX 250, which is just the traditional 2.5 liter non-hybrid with the 8-speed automatic transmission. Speaking of transmissions, this also is mated to an eCVT. You know, I know a lot of people hear CVTs and think bad, but Toyota CVTs is the best in the business. I'm a big fan of this powertrain. Gets plenty of power. We'll test it out as we go along on the test drive. All right, climbing into the driver's seat here, you do have heated and ventilated and power front seats, which is nice to see. 3 memory positions for the driver. Got a digital gauge cluster, heads-up display, and you do get a giant 14-inch infotainment. This 14-inch infotainment works great. You do have wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, wired as well. It's, you know, pretty quick, pretty responsive. It's your standard Lexus Toyota infotainment that we've seen in other vehicles for quite a bit of time now. There's tons of customizability. The only drawback that I have with these Lexus products is the climate controls are tied into the infotainment. I would prefer physical controls, physical buttons, because when you're going down the road and you're trying to, you know, not take your eyes off the road, it would be nice to feel a physical button rather than just these touchscreen controls. That said, they're at least pretty easy to figure out. I mean, your zones are here. Your automatic button is here. You do have a physical control for the temperature though, but you know, and some quick access controls here as well. You also do get a 360 reverse cam as well, and this vehicle is optioned with the advanced parking assist, which we will be testing out later in the video. You do get your drive mode selector here. You twist it left for eco, right for sport, and push in for normal. Down here you do get a wireless charger that works pretty nice. Little secret compartment underneath with a 12-volt outlet, some connectivity there. A couple cup holders, your gear selector, which I find to be just a little convoluted. It's just your standard Toyota hybrid gear selector. I kind of wish they would put like the Camry gear selector, just a traditional gear shift rather than this thing, because the targeted buyer for this vehicle is probably going to be someone in their 50s and 60s, and they're going to find a lot of this tech, especially this door handle and this gear shift, to be a little bit convoluted. Down here you do get your electronic parking brake hold, traction control options, decent size center console here, decent size glove box as well, lined with felt. Up here you do get an auto dimming rear view mirror with home link for your garage door opening. It's also digital as well. Overall, I think this interior looks the business, especially this brown with the complements the blue exterior. The materials in here are top notch. There's a couple rattles, and I think that has to do with the cargo shade in the back, and it's a little bit cold out. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and take this for a spin, and I'll give you guys some more thoughts and impressions as we go along the way. Now, if you are a taller individual, I do think that you are pretty limited with headroom here in the front seat. I only have about a ½ inch of headroom at 6 foot, and my seat is slammed all the way to the ground. So keep that in mind. If you're a taller individual, this vehicle may not be for you. Now we'll go ahead and start with the positives here. One thing I really do like about this vehicle is the ride. It is a very comfortable ride. Even with the optional 20-inch wheels, there's not a whole lot of NVH happening over potholes and expansion joints here in Northeast Ohio. Another thing I really am impressed with here is the level of power. It's adequate. It's not a slouch at all. You can see we spun the tires there from a stop. Now we are on a gravel road right now, and you can hear there's probably a little bit more road noise than what you're used to in other videos, but this being a gravel road, it's handling it very well. We're going to turn on a nice smooth road now, and you guys can hear just how quiet this interior is. It is actually remarkably quiet for this price point. We're at 57 miles an hour now, and it's just whisper quiet along the road. A little bit of wind noise coming from the A-pillars here, but not too bad at all. Very impressive. Alright, like I mentioned earlier, you do have drive modes here. We'll go ahead and put it in sport mode and do a quick 0 to 60. Come to a complete stop. And floor it. Not bad, not too shabby. Definitely does feel quicker than the RAV4. I really like Toyota's hybrid systems as far as driving characteristics go. It's very responsive. You put your foot down and it's just ready to go. The CVT does not have any rubber banding. There's no delay from a stop. Very good driving characteristics from the powertrain here. Now we'll go ahead and get to the cons of the NX 350, and I'm not sure if you guys could hear all of that rattling back there. You probably have to wear headphones, or I guess probably be in the vehicle to really hear it, but it's driving me crazy, and I think it has to do with the cargo shade. Another con here is I do wish there was a little bit more sound dampening between the engine and the driver, because it's a little bit droney and a little bit nasally, kind of like the RAV4 and pretty much your standard run-of-the-mill Toyota hybrids. Another con here that I have noticed is these controls on the steering wheel are very convoluted, and especially for the targeted buyer that I think this is for, it's going to get very confusing. These controls here on the steering wheel only appear to what function they do in the heads-up display. So if you pay attention, if I just rest my hand on the controls on the left here, it'll pop up in the heads-up display of what they do. And then you can hit this button down here to go to the next page, and then it will change, you know, what function they do as well. Same thing with the right side. You know, when you hold your hand on it, there's different pages you can go through, and this is also how you change your display in the gauge cluster as well. I don't think this is a very good idea, and I think it's kind of distracting. Now, this vehicle does also come equipped with Lexus Safety Sense 3.0. There's a lot of safety features on here. I can't remember all of them, so I'll just put a screenshot of them in Roni in the left of what exactly they do. But you do get lane tracing assist and adaptive cruise control, which I find to work very nicely in this Lexus. Keeps you centered. You do have to keep your hands on the wheel. This isn't a hands-off, hands-free driving system, but it does work nicely. You can adjust your following distance as well. You do also have the option to change the cruise control mode to regular cruise control instead of adaptive. You do get paddle shifters behind the wheel. This does have 5 simulated gears, but I mean, you're not gonna be messing with paddle shifters in your Lexus hybrid. This vehicle does push a lot in the front. It's very heavy. Steering weight's up nicely, but it is not that fun to drive. Honestly, it's kind of boring. It's just your standard run-of-the-mill crossover. Nothing here is too exciting. And one thing that is a major con of this vehicle, and I think is probably one of the most disappointing aspects about the vehicle, is the brakes. While the brakes themselves are actually pretty good, I find that the pedal progression from regen to actual brakes is unnatural and not smooth under moderate to heavy braking situations. Numerous times this week where, you know, I've come up to a yellow to red light or someone's pulled out in front of me, it's either on or off with these brakes under moderate to heavy braking situations. There's no in between. It's very jarring. It will tick off your passengers. I don't know why these are different. This braking system feels different than the Toyota Camry I just got out of last week with a perfect brake pedal. Starting to rain here, you do also get automatic wipers, which is nice to see. Automatic high beams as well. All right, now we're in a parking lot with some pretty defined lines. Let's go ahead and test out this advanced park system real quick. There's this button here. We're going to go ahead and push it and see what happens. Maybe I have to slow down just a little bit or come to a stop. Let's push it here. All right, icy roads. Yeah, no kidding. Let's back into that. I want to go into this spot right here. Let's go ahead and hit start. Release brake to move. I think this could be coming in handy for situations where you don't feel comfortable parking. It does take its sweet time though. I know the Toyota Prius I reviewed last year had this same feature. It does a really good job, but it just takes its sweet time. I think you'd tick off some people behind you waiting. Look at that. Very, very cool. It shows you all the way around how it did. It can also do parallel parking, which I think that'd be a better use case rather than parking in a regular parking lot. You should already know how to park like this. But parallel parking, I think that could come in handy for sure. All right, now it's time for the night sights and stereo system test, where I do B-roll of what this vehicle looks like at night while we listen to the stereo system. So let's go ahead and pull up our tracks here. This vehicle is equipped with the optional Mark Levinson stereo system. So let's go ahead and get started.
Somewhere
on to the next track here. Right, I would rate this, I think, a very low A tier. I don't think it's quite B tier, but I would put this on the bottom of the list for the A tier sound system. It's a little bit too crisp. I'm sure you could EQ it out, but I like to do these tests with a flat EQ, just to show you what you're getting straight out of the box. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for the 2024 Lexus NX 350h review. Shout out to Lexus and Toyota for sending me this vehicle to review this week. It's greatly appreciated for sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of this vehicle. Please be sure to like and subscribe as well. I have a lot more vehicle reviews coming very soon, and we'll go ahead and see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.